We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Nipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next hour. Donald Trump raises US global tariffs from 10% to 15% a day after Supreme Court ruling. New tariffs will require congressional approval after 150 days. Pakistan launches deadly attack on terrorist camps along Afghanistan border after surge in attacks. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate India's first Namo Bharat regional rapid transit system, also to inaugurate India's fastest metro in Uttar Pradesh's Meerut. And in sports, stage is set for a blockbuster clash of T20 World Cup as India lock horns with South Africa in its first 2026 World Cup Super 8 encounter in Ahmedabad. And on to the details now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in UP's Meerut to flag off the Meerut Metro and Namo Bharat trains and dedicate the Delhi-Meerut Namo Bharat corridor to the nation. He'll also inaugurate key sections and development projects worth nearly 12,930 crore rupees. DD India's correspondent Siddharth Bharadwaj has more.
Travelling between Delhi and Meerut will now get faster, more seamless with the launch of Meerut Metro and Namo Bharat trains. Offering high-speed connectivity and enhanced passenger comfort, these services are expected to cut travel time, reduce traffic and also strengthen India's vision of sustainable transport.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Western Uttar Pradesh's Meerut city on Sunday. PM Modi will flag off Meerut Metro and Namo Bharat trains at Shatabdi Nagar Namo Bharat station. These trains will significantly ease both inter- and intra-city travel for commuters while helping to reduce road congestion. Thereafter, the Prime Minister will take a metro ride to Meerut South station. PM Modi will dedicate the 82-kilometer-long Delhi-Meerut Namo Bharat corridor and inaugurate the remaining sections of India's first Namo Bharat regional rapid transit system. Designed for a top speed of 180 km per hour, the system will significantly enhance connectivity between Delhi and key urban centers. These sections include the 5-kilometer section between Sarai Kale Khan and New Ashoknagar in Delhi and the 21-kilometer section between Meerut South and Modipuram in Uttar Pradesh.
रैपिड रेल और उसके साथ मेट्रो का जो प्रोजेक्ट यहाँ रिंग रोड, यहाँ खेल यूनिवर्सिटी, यहाँ हॉस्पिटल की व्यवस्था, आप देखिए कि चारों तरफ से लोगों में बहुत उत्साह है और उत्साह केवल देखने के लिए नहीं है, वो हकीकत में है.
4 Namo Bharat stations will also be commissioned, including the Sarai Kale Khan station, the originating station of the corridor. In a first-of-its-kind initiative in the country, the Meerut Metro services will be operating on the same infrastructure as Namo Bharat trains. PM Modi will inaugurate and dedicate various development projects worth around 12,930 crore rupees and will also address the gathering.
With Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit, the region is set to get a major infrastructure push, further advancing India's vision of Viksit Bharat 2047 or Developed India by 2047. With camera person More Mukut Sharma, this is Siddharth Bharadwaj reporting for DD India in Meerut.
And DD India's Siddharth Bharadwaj joins us for more from Meerut. Well, Siddharth, Prime Minister Modi is set to flag off the Meerut Metro and the Namo Bharat trains today. Tell us what all is planned for the day.
Oh, definitely. First of all, a very good morning to you, Lipakshi, and I'm here in Meerut, which is in the western Uttar Pradesh, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be coming in a short while from now. I'm here at the Shatabdi Nagar Namo Bharat station, one of the 4 Namo Bharat stations which will be commissioned today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be flagging off Meerut Metro and Namo Bharat train. Now, these 2 trains will not only cut the travel time between Delhi and Meerut, but at the same time will generate employment, will generate opportunity, business, ease of travel, ease of life, and at the same time will improve urban mobility as well. Also, in one of its initiative, first of its kind initiative, these 2 trains will operate on the same infrastructure as you saw in the report as well. Now, what is the benefit of it? It will save money, it will save time, and it will save space as well. So this model could be used in future. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be undertaking a ride from here, Shatabdi Nagar Namo Bharat station to Metro South. After that, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be inaugurating various development projects worth over 12,900 crore rupees and also will address the gathering on the occasion. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also be inaugurating the 82-kilometer stretch between Delhi and Metro Namo Bharat corridor. At the same time, will inaugurate India's first regional rapid transit system. Ripakshi, when we talk about the regional rapid transit system, it has a design of 180 km per hour and it will connect the key urban centers to Delhi. Now further generating employment, generating opportunities for the people, for the commuters, and also will save a lot of time, because as they say, time is money. People here are expressing their happiness. They say, when we had a word with them, they are saying that they are very, very happy, and this is something that they always wanted. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi is actually giving a gift to the people of Meerut, and it will certainly improve the infrastructure in the region. Lipakshi, there is no doubt about that. And at the same time, it will also strengthen India's vision when it comes to the sustainable transport, and also give an impetus to India's vision of Viksit Bharat 2047 or developed India by 2047, Lipakshi. And this is coming at a time when the world is looking at India, for opportunities, for collaborations, and the entire world is hailing the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. People here, like I just mentioned, are expressing their happiness for the visionary leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the work which is being done by him.
All right, Siddharth, a very, very important day indeed. Thank you so much for all that information from there. And moving on, US President Donald Trump will now raise temporary tariffs on almost all the US imports from 10% to 15%, the maximum level allowed under the law, after the US Supreme Court struck down his previous tariff program as invalid. Now, the new levies are grounded in a separate law known as Section 122 that allows tariffs up to 15% but requires congressional approval to extend them after 150 days. But shortly after the court's 6-3 ruling on Friday that rejected the president's authority to impose tariffs under a 1977 Economic Emergency Powers Act, Trump had initially announced a new 10% global levy by invoking a different legal avenue. Now, Trump also said that during the next short number of months, his administration will determine and issue the new and legally permissible tariffs, but the ruling marked a major political setback in striking down Trump's signature economic policy that has roiled the global trade order. Also, the ruling was a stunning rebuke by the High Court, which has largely sided with the president since he returned to office. At the same time, the Republican launched an extraordinary personal attack on the conservative justices who had sided with the majority. Meanwhile, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz will hold talks with European allies on a joint response to US tariffs ahead of a visit to Washington to meet Donald Trump. While noting Trump's additional tariff, Merz said he nevertheless expected German exporters to face fewer duties in the future and saw good news in the Supreme Court's ruling. In Bangladesh, economists and business leaders have urged the government to reassess its recently signed trade agreement with the United States after the U.S. Supreme Court's verdict on Trump's tariffs. Now, the debate over tariffs has intensified if tariffs imposed earlier were unlawful, casting uncertainty over the Bangladesh-U.S. agreement on reciprocal trade signed on the 9th of February. Officials said the government plans to formally seek clarification from Washington regarding the status of the deal. Now, the agreement was already facing criticism because it was signed just days before national elections and committed Bangladesh to significant import obligations in exchange for a modest reduction in supplementary tariffs to 19%. Now, analysts argue the concessions, including increased purchases of agricultural goods, liquefied natural gas and aircraft, may outweigh potential export gains. Well, also, U.S. President Donald Trump said on Saturday that he was working with Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry to send a hospital boat to Greenland, a Danish territory that Trump has said he wants to acquire. Now, Trump announced the plan on social media moments before hosting a dinner for Republican governors at the White House. In a social media, Trump said, working with the fantastic governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, we are going to send a great hospital boat to Greenland to take care of the many people who are sick and not being taken care of there. It's on the way. Meanwhile, Denmark's Joint Arctic Command announced on Saturday that it successfully evacuated a U.S. submarine crew member who required urgent medical attention in Greenlandic waters, approximately 7 nautical miles from the capital Nuuk. As per the command, the crew member was transported using a Danish Defence Seahawk helicopter and has since been handed over to Greenlandic health authorities for treatment at the Nuuk hospital. The operation highlights the ongoing cooperation between Danish and U.S. forces in the Arctic region. And moving on to Russia-Ukraine conflict now, the Donetsk region is at the center of a U.S.-backed peace push to end the conflict, with Russia demanding that Ukraine give up the remaining 20% of the Donetsk region and Kyiv refusing to do so. But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Ukraine will not be an obstacle to peace and do everything necessary to end the conflict with Russia. Zelensky would have further meetings with European partners next week and added that Ukrainian officials were working with allies in the West Asia and Turkey to provide more assistance. Well, he also called on Europe to follow in its footsteps and sanction hundreds of captains of ships involved in transporting Russian oil.
Ukraine introduced new sanctions against the captains of vessels involved in transporting Russian oil. 225 captains. We will consistently implement sanctions and make them global against everyone who helps Russia earn money for war. Many around the world support us. Often it is Ukraine proposals that form the basis of our partners' sanctions. We strongly hope that the next EU sanctions package will take into account what is necessary for real pressure on Russia over this war, for genuinely limiting Russia's ability to wage it.
And still to come on India Newshour. U.S. Ambassador Huckabee sparks outrage across West Asia over Israel comments. Arab nations condemn the remarks, call them dangerous and inflammatory. Germany's conservatives push social media ban for under-14s, call for EU-wide age restrictions. And many killed, women and children abducted in fresh bandit attack in Nigeria's Zamfara state.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar.
Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching T20 India Newshour. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on. Arab nations condemned on Sunday remarks by U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, after he suggested Israel would be justified in controlling vast tracts of West Asian land on biblical grounds. In a joint statement led by Saudi Arabia, 14 countries and 3 major regional blocs described comments by U.S. envoy as dangerous and inflammatory and a blatant breach of international law. The Arab nations in the statement also said that Huckabee's remarks posed a grave threat to West Asia's security and stability. The joint statement refers to comments made by Huckabee during his interview with American commentator Tucker Carlson, in which the U.S. envoy said Israel has a biblical right to claim control over the entire West Asia, or at least most of the region. Well, students at several universities across Iran have staged anti-government protest, marking the first demonstrations at this level since January's deadly crackdown. Now, hundreds of students marching on the campus of the Sharif University of Technology in Tehran at the start of the new semester on Saturday. Some clashes were later seen between protesters and pro-government supporters. Protests were also held in Mashhad, the second largest city in the northeast of Iran. Further demonstrations were reported later in the day, with calls for more rallies on Sunday. The protest coincided with ceremonies traditionally held after 40 days to mourn those killed by security forces during last month's anti-government demonstrations. And moving on, Pakistan on Saturday launched a deadly attack on terrorist camps along Afghanistan border after recent deadly suicide attacks in northwest region. The overnight attacks were the most extensive since border clashes in October killed more than 70 people on both the sides and wounded hundreds. Now, Islamabad said it hit 7 sites along the border region targeting Afghanistan-based terrorist groups in the aftermath of recent suicide bombing incidents in Pakistan. The military targeted the Pakistani Taliban and its associates as well as an affiliate of the Islamic State group, a statement by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting said. Now, relations between the neighbouring countries have remained tense since October, when deadly border clashes killed dozens of soldiers, civilians and suspected militants. The violence followed explosions in Kabul that Afghan officials blamed on Pakistan. Well, as Nepal heads towards the 5th of March House of Representatives elections, preparations are intensifying across the country, from political party offices to government institutions working around the clock. In Kathmandu and other major cities, political parties are busy preparing for upcoming polls with flags, banners and campaign materials. The vibrant colours of red, blue and green dominate the scene, reflecting the competitive spirit of Nepal's multi-party democracy. Meanwhile, the interim government has stepped up administrative and security arrangements to ensure a smooth and peaceful voting process. Security personnel are conducting patrols and coordination meetings in urban centres and remote hill districts alike. Officials say special attention is being given to sensitive polling areas to maintain law and order during the election period. Also, the Election Commission of Nepal has accelerated its preparations inside its premises in Kathmandu. Officials are sorting voter list, sealing ballot papers, are preparing ballot boxes for dispatch. Trucks loaded with election materials, including indelible ink, ballot boxes, voter registers and official stamps, are being sent to district election offices under tight security. And Slovenia's opposition Democratic Party laid out its ambition to win next month's general election on Saturday. At a party congress, the leader of the Slovenian Democratic Party, Janez Janša, stated the party would campaign on a platform focused on building and developing the country, describing it as the only strong and experienced alternative to the current leadership. Parliamentary elections are set for March 22nd, following a call by President Nataša Pirc-Musar, with a tight race anticipated. Since June 2022, the country has been led by a centre-left coalition under Prime Minister Robert Golob, comprising his Freedom Movement Party, the Social Democrats and the Left. And campaigning for parliamentary election began in Hungary on Saturday ahead of April 12th election. As the race kicked off, candidates across the country hit the streets to gather the 500 signatures needed to get on the ballot. Prime Minister Viktor Orbán is facing the biggest challenge to his power since his Fidesz party came to power in a landslide victory in 2010. Centre-right Tudza held a 10-point lead over Orbán's governing nationalist Fidesz party in polls published last week, though government-aligned pollsters show Fidesz ahead. In the capital, Budapest, opposition Tudza party leader Peter Magyar said his party will tackle corruption, unlock billions of euros in frozen European Union funds to boost the economy and firmly anchor Hungary in the EU and NATO. And thousands of people marched in the French city of Lyon on Saturday following the killing of far-right activist Quentin Duranc, who was beaten to death last week by alleged hard-left activist in an incident that shocked the nation. 7 people are under formal investigation for their alleged role in Duranc's murder. French President Emmanuel Macron called for calm ahead of the rallies and said he would hold a meeting with ministers of all violence groups next week. And Germany's ruling Conservatives on Saturday passed a motion to ban social media use for under 14s and introduce more stringent digital verification checks for teenagers, building momentum for such limits in Germany and elsewhere in Europe. Chancellor Merz's Christian Democratic Union also called for fines for online platforms that failed to enforce such limits and European Union-wide harmonization of age standards. Merz's coalition partners, the Social Democrats, have also backed social media curbs for children. Pressure from both parties in the coalition makes it increasingly likely that the federal government will push for restrictions. However, under Germany's federal system, media regulation is a state-level responsibility and states must negotiate with each other to agree consistent nationwide rules. Well, a growing number of countries, including Spain, Greece, France and Britain, are looking at similar social media bans or restrictions on accessing platforms like TikTok or Instagram. It follows the example of Australia, which last year became the first country to force platforms to cut off access for the children. Well, a second batch of U.S. medical supplies landed in Venezuela on Saturday amid a broader reset in ties that has included oil-related talks and sanctions relief following the U.S. military intervention in Caracas on the 3rd of January. The U.S. charged d'affaires in Venezuela, Laura Dogu, and Venezuela's diplomatic conservative to the U.S., Felix Plasencia, received the aid. This is the second shipment to land in Venezuela following a delivery of medicines that arrived on the 13th of February. And Venezuela's National Assembly President Jorge Rodriguez said that South American nation has received more than 1,550 requests under its new amnesty law. Rodriguez, in a press conference on Saturday, said that hundreds of prisoners are currently being released under the law, which was passed by the ruling party-controlled legislature on Thursday. He said 80 prisoners had been freed from detention in the capital, Caracas, on Saturday alone. Amnesty is not automatic under the law. Petitioners must ask the court handling their cases. And Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, pushed for the legislation after she rose to power following the capture of Nicolas Maduro. The legislature unanimously adopted the landmark amnesty law on Thursday, and Delcy Rodriguez hailed its passage, describing it as a step forward, a more democratic, fairer, freer Venezuela. And at least 50 people were killed and several women and children abducted after armed men attacked a village in Nigeria's northwestern Zamfara state. The attack took place overnight from Thursday to Friday in a remote village with limited access routes. Authorities said the situation has since returned to normal. Traditional leaders and local government officials were still accounting for the missing. The armed groups, known locally as bandits, operate from forests across several northwestern states, including Zamfara, Katsina, Kaduna, Sokoto, Kebbi and Niger, from where they carry out attacks. Despite prolonged military efforts, violence continues as insecurity remains a major challenge in Nigeria and pressure grows on the government to restore stability. And Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces, locked in a conflict with the regular army, said that they had seized the town of Al-Tina on the Chad border. Previously, the town was thought to have been held by the joint forces allied to the army, which has been at war with the RSF since April 2023. RSF shared a video of some of its fighters celebrating under a banner reading "District of Al-Tina" since it broke out. Sudan's civil war has killed tens of thousands of people and forced 11 million people to flee their homes, triggering what the UN says is one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Since the fall of El Fasher, the paramilitaries have carried out several operations near the Chad border, and at the end of the last year, 2 Chadian soldiers were also killed. And NASA on Saturday announced that it may need to roll back the Artemis 2 rocket and Orion spacecraft after detecting an interrupted flow of helium essential for the launch. The agency warned that this issue will almost assuredly impact Well, NASA said that it was targeting March 6 for the launch of 4 astronauts around the moon and back as part of its Artemis 2 mission. The planned Artemis 2 crew includes 3 U.S. astronauts, Reid Wiseman, Victor Glover and Christina Koch, and a Canadian astronaut, Jeremy Hansen. The mission will be humanity's farthest space flight and the first crewed moon journey since Apollo over 50 years ago. Artemis 2 is a key step towards NASA's Artemis 3 mission, which
near the heart of India, a land filled with surprises. In the mighty force of your waters, you hold the deepest secrets that take us back in time. When it's said that the gods walk this land, this is where we feel the warmth of your faces. See hands that mold life. While embracing change, you grow. In you is the land that gives, creates, nurtures, grows, and builds. It's all in you. Come, experience Chhattisgarh. Welcome to Delhi. Narrator of umpteen tales. Creator of historic folklore. To the Delhi of today that is proud of its past. To the Delhi of tomorrow that's charting a glorious future. To lanes, to foods, to ever-changing city moods. to walls, to historic gates, and everything in between. To art, to theatre, and an ode to the inner creator. To bhavans, to path, to melting pot of cultures, to a kaleidoscope of celebrations.
Welcome back. You're watching TD India News. I'm Lipakshi Quran, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Donald Trump raises US global tariff from 10% to 15% a day after Supreme Court ruling. New tariffs will require congressional approval after 150 days. Pakistan launches deadly attack on terrorist camps along Afghanistan border after recent deadly suicide attacks in northwest region. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate India's first Namo Bharat regional rapid transit system, also to inaugurate India's fastest metro in Uttar Pradesh's Meerut. And in sports, stage is set for a blockbuster clash of T20 World Cup as India lock horns with South Africa in its first 2026 World Cup Super 8 encounter in Ahmedabad. And moving on, India and Brazil decided to enhance their bilateral trade target for 2030 from $20 to $30 billion following talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Inácio Lula da Silva in New Delhi. The two BRICS founding members also exchanged 10 pacts, including the critical minerals and digital domains. They also discussed about the emerging scenario following the US Supreme Court verdict on Donald Trump's tariffs. President Lula is on a 5-day India visit where he also participated in the AI Impact Summit. TD India's Akhilesh Suman has more on this.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi held bilateral talks with Brazilian President Lula da Silva in New Delhi, aimed at deepening the strategic partnership between India and Brazil. The two leaders first met in restricted talks followed by delegation-level discussions focusing on strengthening bilateral relations. They also exchanged views on global issues, including the situation in Gaza and the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. As an outcome of the summit, 10 MOUs and agreements were signed between the two countries. These include cooperation in strategic supply chains, critical minerals, digital technology, MSMEs, mining for the steel supply chain, pharmaceuticals, traditional knowledge systems, among others. Agreements were also signed between the Indian Institute of Mass Communication and the Federal University of Minas Gerais. Both countries agreed to enhance cooperation in film production with an agreement signed between the Satyajit Ray Film and Television Institute and the University of Sao Paulo. Brazil announced a 10-year business visa for Indian entrepreneurs to facilitate greater economic engagement. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India will establish a center of excellence in Brazil for digital public infrastructure.
टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन के क्षेत्र में हमारा सहयोग दोनों देशों के साथ साथ पूरे ग्लोबल साउथ के लिए महत्व रखता है। मुझे खुशी है कि हम ब्राजील में डिजिटल पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के लिए सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस बनाने पर काम कर रहे हैं। आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, सुपर कंप्यूटर, सेमीकंडक्टर्स और ब्लॉकचेन जैसे क्षेत्रों में अपने सहयोग को भी हम प्राथमिकता दे रहे हैं।
Both leaders set a target of increasing bilateral trade to $30 billion over the next 5 years.
In July 2025, the two leaders had set a bilateral trade target of $20 billion by 2030. However, today, the two leaders agreed that the trade should at least double to $30 billion by 2030.
Both leaders strongly condemned terrorism in all its forms and manifestations and resolved to work jointly against this menace, particularly affecting the global south.
हमारा मानना है कि हर समस्या का समाधान डायलॉग, और डिप्लोमेसी के माध्यम से होना चाहिए। भारत और ब्राजील एक मत है कि आतंकवाद और उसके समर्थक पूरी मानवता के शत्रु है।
Defense technology cooperation also figured prominently in the discussions. Both leaders reiterated the need for reforms in the United Nations Security Council and pledged to work together towards a more representative multilateral world order. They also agreed to expand cooperation in sustainable energy, green technologies, agriculture, animal husbandry, and biofuels.
We are not just the two biggest democracies of the global south. This is a meeting of the world's pharmacy with the world's barn, and a digital superpower with a renewable energy superpower. We are both mega diverse countries and hubs of the cultural industry, and we both defend multilateralism and peace.
This is the sixth visit of President Lula da Silva to India, reflecting the depth of mutual understanding and the shared desire to further strengthen cooperation and strategic partnership between the two countries. Akhilesh Suman's report for DD India.
Well, President Draupadi Murmu received visiting Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi on Saturday. The president also hosted a banquet in his honor. President Murmu thanked President Lula for his participation and valuable contribution to the India AI Impact Summit. She also congratulated him on the successful hosting of the BRICS and COP30 summit in Brazil last year. The president was happy to note that the India-Brazil strategic partnership continues to make steady progress across several sectors, including trade and investment, defense, oil and gas, biofuels, agriculture and livestock, healthcare and traditional medicine, space, science and technology, digital cooperation and cybersecurity. Underlining that Brazil is India's largest trade partner in Latin America, President Murmu said that there is immense potential to expand and diversify the bilateral trade. She stated that India is keen to expand the preferential trade agreement with Mercosur and is equally committed to deepening bilateral trade engagement with Brazil. The president said that as leading voices of the global south, India and Brazil must continue working towards reform of multilateral institutions, particularly the United Nations Security Council, to make them more representative of contemporary realities. Also, the two leaders agreed that there is tremendous potential to further deepen India-Brazil bilateral cooperation. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people of the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio at 11 a.m. IST on Sunday. It will be the 131st episode of the monthly radio program. The program will be broadcast across the entire All India Radio and Doordarshan network, the AIR News website and the News on Air mobile app. It will also be live streamed on the YouTube channels of AIR News, DD News, the PMO and the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. And India's Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia led the 62nd edition of Fit India Sundays on Cycle in New Delhi. The initiative was in collaboration with the Employees State Insurance Corporation. The cycling event witnessed enthusiastic participation from fitness enthusiasts, young volunteers and officials, promoting the message of an active and healthy lifestyle. The initiative aims to encourage citizens to adopt cycling as a simple, sustainable and eco-friendly way to build a healthy nation under the Fit India movement. And in weather news, the fresh snowfall in Kashmir's Gulmarg brought excitement and cheer to both the tourists and locals. Visitors from across the country were seen celebrating the snowfall, capturing photos and enjoying the winter magic.
Tourists in Kashmir were treated to a fresh blanket of snow turned the meadows of Gulmarg into a white spectacle. Visitors to this famed location flocked to the slopes, with elders enjoying playful snowball fights and children building snowmen. Their moments of happiness were captured as photographs in the snow-clad landscape. It wasn't just the snow that impressed visitors. They also appreciated the local hospitality and services.
यहाँ आने के बाद पता चला इधर के ड्राइवर इधर सब कॉपरेट करने वाले गाइड्स भी अच्छे हैं और हर प्लेस यहाँ का खुला है, सब लोग एंजॉय कर रहे हैं। हनीमून कपल्स भी आए हैं, फैमिली आई है।
मेरी जिंदगी में मेरे 45 प्लस हूँ मैं, तो जिंदगी में वंडरफुल प्लेस मैंने देखी। तो ये प्लेस किसी के साथ मिस ना हो, जिंदगी लाइफ में एक बार हर एक ने करना चाहिए। कश्मीर की गुलबर्ग।
Snowfall across the Kashmir Valley this season had been sporadic, affecting early winter tourism. But the latest spell of snow has brought life back to Gulmarg, with cable cars operating and tourists eager to enjoy the scenic beauty and winter activities again.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Plant vegetable exhibition in Prayagraj showcased nature's beauty and rare varieties. Organized into 27 sections, exhibition had a dazzling variety of flowers, vegetables and fruits, transforming the park into a visual feast. Highlight of the exhibition was the decorative installations crafted entirely from flowers. The exhibition also aims to promote fruit, vegetables and floriculture businesses in the region. Struggling gamosa weavers seek government support amid rising competition and cost in Assam. Assam's handloom garments are an integral part of the state's cultural heritage. Gamosa is a hand-woven cotton cloth with embroidered borders and has long been an important symbol of identity for Assamese people. At a school in Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala, children cultivate organic produce on campus and enjoy meals prepared from their own harvest. Each week, they take turns caring for the garden, from sowing seeds, making manure to watering and harvesting crops. Their proudest moment comes when the vegetables they nurtured are served on their plates as part of the noon meal. Well, still to come in TD India Newshour. Indian women's cricket team clinch 2-1 T20 International Series win over Australia's team. And Indian Air Force Surya Kiran and Sarang teams ready to dazzle Jaipur skies with air show over iconic Jal Mahal.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching TD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and on to some sports news now. India's unbeaten run in the T20 World Cup 2026 now enters the Super 8 stage with a high-profile clash against South Africa, a repeat of 2024 T20 final and a contest between two informed sides. DD India's Abhishek Mahajan reports for more from Ahmedabad.
India begin their Super 8 campaign with a blockbuster against South Africa. Both teams unbeaten, both in commanding form, and a repeat of the last T20 World Cup final. With 4 wins in 4 matches, India have looked the most complete side in the tournament, dominating the key phases with both bat and ball and producing a different match winner every night. The only talking point is Abhishek Sharma, 3 games without a run, but in this format, 1 power play is enough to change the direction of a match, and the team continues to back its impact player. South Africa, meanwhile, arrive with a different identity. Their campaign has been built on collective strength, contributions across the batting order, and a bowling attack that has delivered in partnerships. The head-to-head numbers favour India. They lead South Africa 21-13 in T20 internationals and 5-2 in T20 World Cups, including the title clash in 2024. The venue adds another layer to the contest. In 12 T20 internationals at the Narendra Modi Stadium, teams batting first have won 7 times. The average first innings score is 173 and India's 234 for 4 against New Zealand remains the highest total at this venue. It was here in Ahmedabad that India beat South Africa by 30 runs in a high-scoring thriller just a couple of months ago. Surya Kumar Yadav and his side will be hoping for a repeat, but on a much bigger stage now.
India's perfect run in T20 World Cup 2026 now faces its biggest test. A Super 8 showdown against mighty South Africans. A repeat of 2024 World Cup final with both sides arrive at Narendra Modi Stadium unbeaten. Certainly high stakes, high quality encounter. With cameraman SP Dubey, this is Abhishek Mahajan in Ahmedabad for DD India.
Well, as India prepares for a crucial encounter against South Africa in T20 World Cup, the spotlight is firmly on their approach against spin. Abhishek Mahajan brings you this ground report from Ahmedabad.
We are at Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad, and India start their Super 8 campaign from this stadium. They play against South Africa. Both teams are unbeaten in the tournament. India were at the top of the points table, but the biggest concern for India has been playing against spinners, and we saw that in the practice session also a day before. Special emphasis was given on practicing against spinners. So if we talk about the statistics, total 80 overs have been bowled. India have played, in fact, 80 overs in the group stage. They have lost 31 wickets, and 15 wickets they have lost to the spinners. And out of 15 wickets, 8 wickets they have lost to the off spinners, which is, in fact, a big concern. We saw against Pakistan also. Sam Ayub, in fact, troubled Indian batters. Salman Agha took the wicket off opener Abhishek Sharma. Erasmus, Namibia skipper, also troubled Indian batters. If you talk about Aryan Dutt also, who is Netherlands spinner, he also troubled Indian batters. And if you talk about the strike rate also, strike rate has just been over 100 against the off spinners. The scoring rate is also around 6, and the average is also around 12, 13, which is biggest concern. We saw that weakness in the test matches also. India lost the test series against New Zealand, but let's focus on T20s. Spin has been India's weakness, and the same question was asked in the press conference to India captain Surya Kumar Yadav also. In fact, he downplayed it, but he mentioned that wickets have been a little tricky here, so that might be the reason that India is not doing well against the spinners. But yes, a focus on the practice session was primarily on playing spinners. And also, if you talk about South Africa also, they have Linde in the squad. They have Keshav Maharaj also, left arm spinner. We saw Aiden Markram, South Africa captain, bowling a lot in the net. So who knows that he might open the bowling of South Africa also. That has been the pattern of the teams against India. But yes, spin is a weakness for India, which has been highlighted in the current tournament also. It will be interesting to see how Indian batters, especially a lot of talk has been about the top 3 are left-handers. India's lineup top 3 are left-handers. At least 4 players out of top 6 are left-handers. So it will be interesting to see, is this the reason that India is not doing well against off-spinner because of left-handers? So it will be seen. It will be interesting to see. But again, momentum is very important in cricket, and first match India would like to start on a winning note because they play against Zimbabwe next and then against West Indies in Kolkata. But start of Super 8 with a victory will be very important for India. With cameraman Satyaprakash Dubey, this is Abhishek Mahajan in Ahmedabad for DD India.
And DD India's Abhishek Mahajan joins us for more from Ahmedabad on this. Well, Abhishek, good morning. High quality, high octane match expected today. India start the Super 8 campaign today against South Africans. Who has an upper edge today? From what you're seeing at the venue, which team looks better equipped to handle the big match pressure in Ahmedabad tonight?
Yes, Lipakshi, good morning. Yes, you said it right, high octane. Big match. It's a final before the final. Many are saying this also. It's the biggest game so far, we can say. India start their Super 8 campaign against South Africa. If you talk about the playing 11 first, Lipakshi, we might see one change in India's playing 11. Instead of Washington Sundar, Akshar Patel will be drafted in. It looks like that because otherwise, there's no need to make any changes. Ardeep Singh, many were talking about that also. Ardeep Singh, can he go out of the 11? But he has been doing exceptionally well, and he has a very good record against South Africa also. So he will be there in the playing 11. We might see only one change. There will be no wholesale changes. But yes, South Africa, they are also doing well in the tournament. They have already played 3 matches in Ahmedabad, so they know about the conditions here. The match will be played on pitch 5. The Netherlands game was played on pitch 4. So it's also a black soil. So we have not seen high-scoring thrillers. We have not seen high-scoring matches in the World Cup so far. But this might be that game where we see scores over 200. But yes, 2 teams are evenly matched. South Africa, they have good batters. Talk about Quinton de Kock, Aiden Markram. They are in form. Corbin Walsh, Devil Brevis. They all are doing well. They have done well in the current tournament. But if you talk about India also, Indians are also, they look in form except Abhishek Sharma. And the same question, like I mentioned in the report, also the same question was asked from India captain Surya Kumar Yadav also, that is he concerned about Abhishek Sharma's form, who has not scored even a run in the T20 World Cup tournament so far. But he said that I worry about those people who worry about Abhishek Sharma, and he's due. He will make runs, and the other team should be concerned because he has not scored any. So that kind of atmosphere is there in the Indian dressing room. So no Sanju Samson, Abhishek Sharma will continue to play. And it's a good thing, Lipakshi, that Team India management is backing Abhishek Sharma despite his dip in form. But yes, the big game against South Africa, and momentum, like I said in the report, momentum is very important. Whoever wins this game, they'll have an easy way to go to the semifinals.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Abhishek, for all that information from Ahmedabad. An Indian women team defeated Australia women by 17 runs in the third match of the T20 International Series in Adelaide to clinch the 3-match series 2-1. While Smriti Mandhana shone with a bat, Sri Charani and Shreyanka Patil stood out with the ball for the women in blue. Smriti Mandhana was awarded the player of the match for her match-defining innings of 82 runs off 55 balls. On the other hand, Sri Charani and Shreyanka Patil's 3-fers helped restrict Australia to a score of 159. Well, the skies of the western Indian city of Jaipur are set to turn into a theatre of precision and power as the Indian Air Force's elite aerobatic teams, the Sarang helicopter display team and the Surya Kiran aerobatic team, prepare for breathtaking aerial displays on Sunday. The demonstrations will take place above the iconic Jal Mahal.
और ये बाई तरफ से उनकी ओर बढ़ते हुए स्क्वाड्रन लीडर संजेश सिंह, जयपुर के बेटे।
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Keep watching for more. Namaskar.